Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be answering a question that my best friend posed to me recently. So she asked me if I were to go shopping with her and pick out one thing for each part of a face of makeup, what I would recommend. I wanted to answer this question because I know a lot of people are kind of in the same situation where they're getting into makeup or they kind of want to know what they should get or how to approach makeup, but they're not sure where to start. And one thing that I really want to emphasize with this video is things that are very, very affordable. The reason being is as you kind of step into makeup and learning how to do it and what works for you and what doesn't, I think it's really important that you don't go out and buy all high-end makeup when you're not sure, what you're going to be comfortable with. For me, it was beneficial to kind of start very small, very inexpensive, and learn if I liked a certain thing before I graduated and maybe spent the extra money on the high-end version of that item. So today I'm going to be talking about my favorite inexpensive items for each part of a full face of makeup. Now I am wearing most of what I talk about today, and it created this look. So let's get started. I wanted to start by saying that not a lot of people realize makeup starts way before you even apply foundation. Makeup starts with your skin and taking care of your skin. And so if I could emphasize one thing before I even get into the makeup, it's that you're using either a moisturizer, a primer, or a foundation that has SPF in it. You want to protect the skin on your face every day. Even if you're not being exposed to sunlight that much, even if the most you might get during the day is walking by a window, you still want to protect the skin on your face because it's different than the skin on the rest of your body. It's just more susceptible to that kind of damage because it's the tallest skin on your body as well. So that's the first thing that I can recommend is SPF in one of those three things. I'll start with talking about moisturizers. I was really kind of skeptical about moisturizing my face. First of all, because my skin tends to be kind of temperamental, and I think a lot of people assume that putting moisturizer on your face will clog your pores and cause breakouts. And while I think that might be true for some people, if you look for an oil-free moisturizer or an organic moisturizer or something that works with your skin, you will find that putting moisturizer on your face every day, maybe right when you get out of the shower or at the beginning of every morning when you kind of splash some water on your face, it just helps your skin to be more and more balanced as time goes on. I tend to have dry patches on the tops of my cheeks, and then I get oily down the center of my face, especially around the nose. And so I have what's called combination skin. Some people suffer with only dryness or only oiliness, and some people do have both. In any case, moisturizing will help add balance to your face. Drink lots of water and use a moisturizer, and I promise the skin on your face will be the better for it. Now, a lot of moisturizers will include SPF, so this is a good spot for you to get that sun protection if you're not using it anywhere else. Currently, I've been using the Equate version of this moisturizing lotion that is the generic version of the CeraVe moisturizing lotion. I kind of repeated myself. What I really like about this is it helps to replenish skin's moisture barrier. It also has a good amount of glycerin, and that does help as a base for makeup. So even if you forgot to moisturize when you got out of the shower or at the beginning of the day, before you put makeup on, if you put something like this down, it actually helps your makeup to stay on your skin better, and it helps to even out skin underneath the makeup. Speaking of something that helps your makeup stay, primers are something that have two purposes. One is to keep your makeup on for an extended period of time. Let's say you're going to a wedding, you're going to be dancing, you're going to be outside, inside, up, down, here, there, everywhere. You want a really nice primer to set the makeup in place all day long. Also, primers can help to even out skin underneath your makeup. It can kind of fill in fine lines around the eyes or the mouth, and also enlarged pores, because a lot of people have problems with their pores kind of opening up or getting blackheads in them, the primer can kind of fill in some of those divots to make the makeup look more smooth on your skin. Primer is another place where you can get some SPF as well. My favorite drugstore primer of the moment is the Maybelline Baby Skin Instant Pore Eraser. Now this does say that basically it's only to erase pores, but it's the same consistency and ingredients in most primers that you will find, and I really love how smooth it feels on the skin. For all of the products that I talk about today, I will have a link down below where to purchase them, and I'll also list their retail price. That way you guys kind of have an idea of what you might find in the stores when you go to look for these. After you put foundation and primer on, you want to put foundation on your skin. And there are
three different types of way that we can...
Three different types of foundation that you can put on your skin. The first one is a powder, and this is where I was at for many, many years. I had fairly good skin when I was younger, and so really all I needed was a little bit of shine control and a little bit of evening out my skin tone. I used to use CoverGirl compacts exclusively, and I still really, really enjoy their pressed powder formulas. But even more affordable than that, Wet n Wild has come out with a coverall pressed powder foundation. And I really, really love the formula because it's so finely milled that it feels really creamy. It's almost like you feel you're putting a liquid on the skin, but it's powder. I also like it because it comes with a sponge instead of a brush or what you would usually find with a powder, which is a puff, whatever. And I really like that with the sponge, if I need to, I can press this in to areas where I need more coverage, or I can just swipe it over areas where I don't need much. A lot of times when I get a product like this, I toss whatever little tool that it comes with because it's usually not very high quality. But I do keep the sponge in here because I feel like it's really, really nice in terms of applying this powder. The second kind of foundation that you can put on is a BB or CC cream. These have become kind of popular in the last few years. I believe that the BB idea started in Japan, where a lot of our makeup trends actually start. BB creams are really, really fun and definitely very similar to a tinted moisturizer. You're not going to get a really heavy amount of coverage or pigment. You're going to get just a little bit of pigment to even out the skin tone, but really what you're getting is a balmy kind of moisturizing type product. The one that I've been loving lately is the Wet n Wild Fergie BB Cream. And this is their 8-in-1 Beauty Balm Glam Maker, and this does include SPF 15. So again, if you're not getting SPF from your moisturizer or your primer, look for SPF in your foundation. The final way that you can wear foundation is liquid foundation, and I remember that was really intimidating to me. The first thing I did is I went to the mall and I had somebody at the mall match me for a liquid foundation by Clinique. You can do that with a lot of the different foundations that are sold in department stores. You can also get that done with different foundations at Ulta and Sephora. But because I feel like all of those options are pretty pricey, you can also just go to the drugstore, and a lot of times they have charts and different things that will help you find a good color match. And most drugstores have return policies, so if you get the wrong color, you can always go back and exchange it for another one. My current favorite affordable liquid foundation, and it's actually probably my current favorite overall, is the Maybelline Fit Me foundation. This is in the finish Dewy and Smooth, and they actually have another formula called Matte and Poreless. Dewy and Smooth, as you can imagine, leaves the skin looking like it's moisturized and it kind of has a dewy finish to it. The Matte and Poreless, on the other hand, gives your skin kind of that mattified, kind of dried down look. So that if you're oily, you can have that corrected via your foundation, and if you're a little more dry, you can look a little more radiant with this foundation. I will say that neither one of them, in my opinion, goes too far matte or too far dewy. I don't feel greasy when I wear this. I don't feel like I'm shiny looking, and so that's really nice. It does finish very well on the skin. The same is to be said for the Matte and Poreless. I don't think it mattifies so much that you look dry and cakey. I think they've done a really good job at making it a subtle difference. This does have SPF in it. This is SPF 18, and they say that they have octinoxate sunscreen. I don't know what that is, but I think that it sounds really good. I want to give an honorable mention here to the CoverGirl Ready Set Gorgeous foundation. This is also another really affordable option, and I think even though it doesn't say one way or the other if it's going to give you a matte finish or a dewy finish, it's actually just kind of a nice in-between. If you're not sure what to get or you're not sure how your skin's going to act to liquid foundation, this is one that I really have been loving lately, and I use it all the time, and this is the foundation that I have on today. After putting on moisturizer, primer, and foundation, I like to go back and conceal any imperfections that have kind of come through the foundation. Now, I want to say I am not a believer in full coverage foundation for every face. I really believe most of us have better skin than we give ourselves credit for, and you really need a thin layer of foundation on, and then you can use concealer to go in and cover the things that you don't want seen. I feel like a lot of times we think the opposite way, and we think foundation has to cover everything in order for our face to look flawless. And I think it's the opposite. Now, if you're into that full coverage, go for it. To each his own. That is the beauty of makeup. But in my opinion, a really thin layer of foundation and concealing the right way can make your skin look naturally beautiful and just awesome. The concealer that I've really been loving and that has really become a quick holy grail item for me is the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. I just have to say this is the best concealer I have ever tried. By far, one of the easiest concealers to put on and blend into whatever you have underneath it. I've tried different concealers with different consistencies and finishes, and this one is one that just kind of melts into whatever foundation you're wearing, and it just really has good coverage without that cakey kind of thickness to it. Before we move into the next part of this, or the next item in our face of makeup, I want to talk real quick about tools. How have we put on our moisturizer and our primer and our foundation and our concealer, and how are we blending those things in? A question that I have gotten from a few friends is, do you really need brushes to do makeup? Which brushes are the absolute necessary ones? What would you recommend that I always have with me, etc., etc.? So I'm going to tell you just a few brushes that I think are absolutely necessary for every girl and that have some sort of function to them. The first one is when putting on foundation and concealer, I cannot find anything better than the original Beauty Blender. Now, this is a little bit on the pricey side. When we're talking about everything here being affordable, this probably is the only one that exceeds like $15, and I believe it retails at about $20. So you might think, wow, that's really steep. If you're taking good care of this and washing it often, it will last you quite a while. I'd say 6 months to a year, depending on how often you're putting makeup on. The nice thing about it is it comes in a package where it's small like this, and then when you get it wet with water, which you're supposed to do, never ever use it dry, it expands and becomes large like this. You can tell there's a definite difference there. Now this one has makeup all over it because I used it today. What I do is I put my foundation on my face kind of haphazardly in the areas that I want it, and then I use the large side of the Beauty Blender to pounce it onto the skin. It has such nice bounce to it because of the material that this sponge is made out of. It expands, it bounces really well, and the claim is because you have taken all the excess moisture out but it's still large, that it won't suck your foundation off of your face. It'll actually help you disperse it quite nicely. Now obviously that's not 100% true because you can still see that makeup does stay on this sponge, but I will say out of all of the different kinds of sponge that I have tried, this one definitely gives you that nice even airbrushed finish to your look without taking away too much product. It still allows for the product to give you coverage. The other nice thing is that it has this kind of angled side where you can really get in next to your eyes and next to your nose and all around the curves of your face without having to use this big bulky side that probably won't get in there to touch those areas. So it's really nice to blend out your concealer, and I've even used this to rub some powder onto my face as well. So this is a really awesome investment in my opinion because it can do so many things. It can do foundation, you can put your primer on with it, you can put your moisturizer on with it. You can put concealer on with it. And if you're using cream to highlight and contour, you can also buff it out with a beauty blender. Now let's say you can't hack out the $20 for a beauty blender. There is one inexpensive option that I have tried recently. It's the BH Cosmetics Studio Pro Sponge. It's shaped very similarly to the beauty blender, and while it doesn't give you that same exact kind of spongy, pouncy feeling, it's a little bit more dense. It's the closest, in my opinion, for a fourth of the price. This is retails generally for $5 on their website, and if there's a sale, you could probably get it even cheaper. And in my opinion, it comes so close that if you're really wondering if you'll like a sponge or if you can even, work it correctly, this would be a good place to start. Now, if you're not really thinking a sponge is for you, there are also foundation brushes. These are two that are fairly affordable. This one is from Target. I believe Target has updated their handles now to where they are silver instead of black. And this is Real Techniques and it's called the Essential Foundation Brush. Both of these can be found in most drugstores, Walmart or Target, and they only are going to cost you maybe $5 at the most. And what you do is it's very much like painting. You take your liquid foundation and you just swipe it onto the face and kind of start to blend it all out until you feel like you have a good amount of coverage. This is actually going to give you a really kind of heavy type coverage unless you're really taking the time to blend it out. That's why I love sponges so much, is because you can really kind of buff out the color. Now, if you still want to try a sponge and you have those little wedge sponges, do me a favor and get it wet like you would a beauty blender, and it will work very similarly. The other option is to start with a brush, end with a sponge. There are no rules here, people. There are many times where I put makeup on with a brush and then I blend out the edges with my beauty blender. You can kind of do it in whatever order you want, and that's the beauty of it, is you can make it your own. So whatever is working for you, whatever you feel like is giving you the right amount of coverage, go for it. In terms of other tools that I think every girl needs, I think every girl needs at least one all-over brush that can also double as a blush brush. That's one thing that even with your fingers, you can never quite get as nicely as with a brush, and that's blush. Now, if you're buying a blush and it comes with a little brush inside, cool, use that. I mean, you don't have to spend any extra money. But a lot of times they're very small, and sometimes the bristles are kind of rough. And so if you want something that feels really nice on the skin, but that is more affordable, Real Techniques also has a multitask brush that can be used for powdering the face and putting blush on. Or EcoTools has many different blush or multi-use brushes. This comes from a travel kit that I absolutely love, and I just love all these EcoTools brushes because they are so dang soft. I love them. The other kind of brush that you want is something that will help you apply eyeshadow. Now, everybody's going to want to do something different with eyeshadow. If you're just going for one color on the lid, you might be able to use your finger. I love using fingers. I think they're the best tools that you can have. But if you're looking for like a smoky eye or something really specific, if you want to get inside of the crease of your eye, or if you want just kind of a more specific look, you need at least one kind of blending brush for your eyes. And again, going back to that EcoTools traveling set, this is their eyeshadow, or it's called eye shading brush from that set. And I love it because it has that tapered kind of cone shape to it, so it can really get into the crease, but I can also swipe color across my whole lid with just this one, as long as I'm kind of wiping off the color in between. So if you can only really afford one brush, I recommend getting something that kind of has a nice shape to it so that you can use it multiple ways. Another brand that has incredible brushes that are really affordable is e.l.f. I have several e.l.f. brushes that I use all the time, and some of them are only $1, like these guys that have white handles, and the ones with a black handle are only $3. So if you're really kind of nervous about brushes and you want something that will kind of introduce you to how to use them, go with e.l.f. brushes. In my opinion, they are really great quality for how inexpensive they are. And while I have had a little bit of issue with shedding, it's really not enough of an issue that I wouldn't recommend still starting there and then making an investment in the future with only the kinds of brushes that you really need or want in your beauty routine. The last brush that I really feel is essential to a girl's kit is a spoolie. Now these are usually going to come on the end of an eyebrow pencil, and that is exactly what that's exactly what they're for, is to kind of comb out the eyebrows. This is actually an old mascara brush that I just really loved the shape and fullness of, and I washed it off and tossed the mascara when I was done and just kept this. So, I mean, that was pretty much free if you consider that, you know, I had used the mascara already, and then I just kept the brush. But a lot of things that you will find will have a spoolie brush attached to it as kind of a nice little bonus, so that you can not only draw on your brows but have a spoolie. All right, so enough about tools, back to makeup. So the next thing that I usually do after I'm done kind of setting with powder, I let the powder sit on my face for a while and I move on to my eyes. And I will admit that most of what I did in my youth concerning eyeshadow was take like one color and swipe it across my whole lid, or maybe I would take two and just kind of have like two colors that kind of, you know, were touching in the middle, but I didn't really do a whole lot of techniques on my eye. Now there are so many things you can see on Pinterest and Facebook and YouTube where, you know, you can create a smoky eye and you can, you know, layer different colors, that I feel like palettes, which are, you know, multiple eyeshadows in one, have also really become popular, and they're almost the way to go when it comes to saving money and getting more bang for your buck. One of the best recommendations that I could give you, and the shadows that I'm wearing today, are this NYC Individual Eyes makeup palette. Now, sad day, my lid fell off, so I'm just going to take that off and kind of show you what they look like. But it's 4 shadows, and 2 of them are matte and 2 of them kind of are shimmery. And then over here on the side, you have an eyeshadow primer and a highlighting kind of cream. The NYC Individual Eyes are called that because they are created based on your eye color. So this one is specifically for brown eyes, and it is called Union Square. And I really, really, really like this palette, and I think it's so worth the few bucks that it costs. You're getting 4 really incredible eyeshadows, really pigmented. I cannot complain. Like, the consistency is great. Not one of them is okay. They're all really good. And the primer here is actually a really nice introduction to eyeshadow primer. So what is eyeshadow primer? Well, very much like on your face, it's supposed to help your eyeshadow stay on longer. You can imagine that if you just stuck kind of a powder to your eyelid, not only might it crease up in the corner, but it also will just fall off with time. If you give it something kind of tacky to hold on to, though, it will stay for much, much longer. The other nice thing about eyeshadow primer is it neutralizes any veins that are on your eye, and it also kind of evens out the skin so that when you're putting things on your eye, the colors are really popping. The highlighting cream here is what I am wearing in my inner corners and then a little bit just on the center of my eyelid. Now, it's just a really iridescent cream, and I think you can kind of use it however you want. It's a little bit funky though, so if you don't use it, I still think that this palette is plenty worth it even without using that one cream. I wanted to make another mention of an eyeshadow trio that I have loved so long now, and I honestly think is probably one of the best starter eyeshadows if you're just getting into makeup. It's the Wet n Wild Walking on Eggshells trio. These are 3 beautiful, beautiful neutral shades, but even beyond the colors that they are, the quality is so amazing for a Wet n Wild product. Just touching the first champagne-y pink color in here, you can just feel how silky and finely milled it is, and it feels so good on the fingers, on the eyelid. It's so silky smooth, and it really just performs so well. It's one of those very dimensional colors that you can wear alone on the eyelid, and in different light, it's just going to pick up the different dimensions. It's going to look really kind of frosty and white, all the way down to that deep kind of dusty pink undertone that it has. And so I feel like if you're really kind of new to eyeshadows and you're not sure, you know, if you want to delve into the world of multiple colors and multiple shades and all that, this is a really great place to start, mainly because of this shade. But then you can start to kind of branch out and use this to highlight under the brow bone and use this dark brown shade in the crease. And I just think this is such an outstanding palette, and I don't think I've ever seen this for more than like $250. So it really, really is affordable. I could probably spend a whole video talking about eyeshadows that I like and palettes that I like, But honestly, my main advice to people who are looking for some kind of eyeshadow palette is to, maybe go after something where you feel comfortable with the colors. If you're not sure what colors would look good, try consulting your eye color. I know not only does NYC do the palettes for each eye color, but Almay also has something similar. Look things up online, and if there's something that really works with blue eyes, maybe start there and kind of build your confidence that way. I could go on and on about eyeshadows. I'm going to move on though to eyeliner. And not everybody is comfortable with eyeliner, especially there are different types of eyeliner. There are both pencils and liquid eyeliner. And then the way that you apply liquid eyeliner is there's so many different ways. They come in like pens, they come in brushes. I mean, you name it, they've probably thought of it to get a nice line to your eye. My favorite way of putting on any type of eyeliner is to go right inside of my lash line to what's called my waterline. And it's kind of that little piece of skin just before the eyeball. And I like to put a dark color on the top, and that's what we call tight lining, and it gives a lot of depth to the eye. It also adds a lot of like volume at the base of your top eyelashes. And then for brightness, you can add a lighter color in your waterline down below, which is what I did today, to make you look really awake and refreshed, as opposed to having the black all over if that seems really dramatic. Now, I love black eyeliner all over as well, so I'm definitely not like hating on that in any way. But there are a lot of ways to wear eyeliners. And those two I did with pencil. I am wearing Jordana 12 Hour Made to Last liquid eyeliner pencil up on my waterline. And then I'm wearing Rimmel Scandalized Waterproof Kohl pencil. And this is one of my favorite like holy grail eyeliner pencils. And this is in the shade Nude. And I just put that down in the lower waterline to give me kind of that bright, awake look. Both of these are very, very affordable. Jordana can often be found in Walgreens. I'm not sure where else, because honestly that's where I've always gone to find Jordana products, but I know you can order from them online. And Jordana is one of those brands very much like Wet n Wild or e.l.f., where everything is really, really affordable, but also really awesome quality. And we will talk about a few more of their products later, but their eyeliners have always been one of my favorites. And then Rimmel is also a fairly affordable drugstore brand. And then if you wanted to get into liquid liners, like I said, there's all kinds of different types, but probably my favorite right now to create kind of a wing or a cat eye is the CoverGirl Intensify Me liner. The reason I like this so much is the applicator is this felt tip that is flat and kind of wide, and then when you turn it, it becomes very thin. And so you can kind of take it, and what I like to do is kind of just set it with the flat long side and kind of create these little dashes and connect them as I go so that I don't feel the pressure of creating one line that looks good. I can kind of build it up. And it's such a nice, flat, thin surface that it really does create nice little dashes. And then once I've kind of winged out and created an outline, I can fill it in on using the fatter, longer side to kind of get more color out at once. This is probably one of the pricier things because it is a new product from CoverGirl. From CoverGirl, I believe it's around $7. So if you're looking for something a little more affordable but that still kind of has that felt tip, Jordana has a great version. I know Wet n Wild has the kind with a brush on it, and I've never been very good at those, so I do not currently have one. I used to have the Wet n Wild brush in waterproof, and honestly, it was an incredible eyeliner. I just could never get it to look right, and I always felt super self-conscious wearing it. So, find what works for you, because I really like felt tip liners, but they're not for everybody. Some people really prefer a brush. So do what is gonna be most comfortable for you. The next thing is mascara, and I have so many mascaras that I've loved for so long, and I feel like in terms of mascara, we've done so well in terms of affordable, drugstore mascaras. They are just so awesome. And you can buy almost every kind of mascara out there in either a regular formula or a waterproof formula. Now, other than the obvious reasons why you might want a waterproof mascara, i.e. swimming, crying, things like that. Another really nice advantage to a waterproof formula is that it tends to hold curl better. So for those of you who need to curl your lashes before you apply mascara, and then after you curl them with time, they kind of sag back down, if you put just one thin layer of waterproof mascara on right after curling your lashes, it will help hold the curl. And then you can go over with any other kind of mascara that you might want to use, and it should hold the curl all day long. Now, with that being said, I have recently found a mascara that I'm absolutely in love with that, in my opinion, holds a curl just as well as waterproof without being waterproof. And the reason that's so amazing is because waterproof mascara can be kind of a pain in the butt to take off. And so that mascara that I am talking about is the CoverGirl The Supersizer Mascara. All right, so I just wiped all the excess mascara off so you can kind of see this brush. It's pretty interesting. It has more of a flat side, and then on the sides it has these kind of these teeth that become longer as they reach the end here. And it's such an interesting brush because there's not really anything like it right now on the market. You take this flatter side that still has teeth but not as many, and you start there by kind of applying that to the lashes, and then right at the end you kind of want to turn it so that those long teeth kind of separate the lashes and almost comb them out at the end. If you're not super comfortable with that, or if you feel like that would be just too complicated, I do have another mascara recommendation, but I just have to say that this is my favorite right now because of how much it holds, how incredible it is in terms of volume, length. It is what I am wearing on my lashes right now and nothing else. I feel like it is one of the best that has come on the market in the last few years. Probably the only other one that I have loved this much this fast was when Maybelline did their Falsies Flared Mascara, which is another great option. If you're new to mascara and weird brushes intimidate you, probably the standby, most classic mascara that you could ever own is Maybelline's Great Lash. And it's the one that looks like this, and I think everybody is familiar with this pink bottle, black top, sometimes green. And it's just such a fun package. This has been around for many decades now, and the formula has remained the same. They have come out with a couple different variations. This is their Blackest Black formula, and I just really love the traditional kind of round spoolie type brush here, and it's not too long, so you can kind of get in at each part of the lashes. The formula is just really, really kind of your basic solid mascara. You can get this in waterproof, but yeah, if you're really not looking to break the bank and kind of get comfortable with mascara, this is a great place to start because these retail for no more than $3 or $4, and there's a lot of product in here, and you can get a lot of practice, and it's not, yeah, it's just really, really great. All right, so after I'm done with my eyes, I usually do my brows. Now, brows are not for everyone, and a lot of people have great brows and just don't even need to touch theirs. And I'd say most days I really don't do much to mine either. Lately, I've been trying to trim them and shape them a little bit, and so I'll get these kind of like sparse patches. And even now, I would not claim to be like a pro when it comes to brows. I feel like some people can just make their brows look like these perfectly shaped, amazing, like framing pieces on their face, and it's really, really impressive to me. But what I do most of the time is I just take a pencil of some kind and I kind of just fill in where I feel like I need a little bit more, maybe shape or depth to my eye, and then I just brush them out with a spoolie brush. There are many different ways to do brows. e.l.f. has a very inexpensive kit like this where you get kind of a creamy pomade type product and then a powder. I used to use this quite a bit, but this is so dark that every time I did it, I kind of felt like I was too much brow and not enough anything else. And so I kind of stepped away from using a dark shade, and now I use a shade lighter than my eyebrow color so that I feel like I can still really fill everything in without looking really like I have a solid black eyebrow. But my current favorite pencil is actually a tie. I just cannot decide. Wet n Wild came out with their Color Icon Brow Pencil, and the reason I love this so much is because it has this beautiful waxy formulated pencil on this side and then a spoolie brush on this side, and for I think it's like $3 or $3.50. That's such an incredible deal. This pencil, like I said, just has a really nice waxy consistency, and the reason that's nice is because when the wax kind of comes off as you're putting it on, it helps the hairs to stay in place. So you're kind of almost getting a 2-for-1 with the pencil part, and then you're getting the spoolie to brush through the brows and help finish shape them when you're done. The other one that I just have to mention though, because I am so darn impressed, is the BH Cosmetics HD Brow Pencil. I'm so impressed by this. I've only used it once, and so that's why I can't really claim that it's my all-time favorite yet. But I did get brave and chose a medium shade here in kind of a deeper brown color. But you'll see that that pencil is so thin, and in my opinion, a perfect dupe for Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz pencil. It has this cute little spoolie on the back, and then it has just that perfect thin little line. And so when you're going in and kind of, creating shape, it looks more like a hair because it's so thin. I got this online during a BH Cosmetics sale and I paid $5. I don't know what the retail price is, but honestly, BH Cosmetics does a lot of sales very often. So if you're willing to kind of wait and do some shopping online, this would be my first pick. But if you're wanting to go to a drugstore and find something, look for the Wet n Wild. So these are like my two fave. There are also brow gels, and probably the only brow gel that I've ever used is the Clear Elf brow gel, and you will see it looks gross because I usually put the gel on last, and so I'd get little remnants of whatever color product I had on underneath, but this would just help to hold the hairs in place. I will only use this if I'm not using a waxy pencil though, because then I want to hold my hairs in place with this gel. They do make gels though that are colored, and so what they'll do is they'll pick up every little baby hair and they'll kind of coat it with color, almost like a mascara. And the reason that's nice is because a lot of girls have such fair colored or such light colored hairs that the brow gel just kind of tints all of the hairs and makes their eyebrow look fuller without looking artificial. So that's really a nice option, but I don't use anything like that because my eyebrows are straight up black. So I don't need any help in that department. All right, so next is the face. Now, I do a combination of different things on different days depending on what mood I'm in. Different people like to highlight and contour with creams, and so they'll do that right after foundation. I really lean towards powders for my face because I find that they're more affordable, and I also just feel a little bit more comfortable blending powders than I do creams. I have tried a little bit of cream contouring, but to be honest, it's still something that I'm fairly new at. So what I would really recommend is starting with one or the other and kind of getting familiar with it. And again, once you're comfortable and you want to venture out to the next thing, go for it. The two products that I really enjoy for powdering my face are the Rimmel Stay Matte and then the Wet n Wild Coverall that I mentioned earlier, which can be used as a foundation, but I also use sometimes on top of my liquid foundation to set everything. Depending on the look that I'm going for, I will either use a highlight and contour or I will use bronzer. Now the difference is bronzer is going to give you a sun-kissed golden glow. When you think of bronzer, think of golden. It's something that might have a little bit of shimmer, but really the idea is that it's warming your skin. It's making you look like you've been out in the sunshine or that you've kind of spent a couple days at the beach and you're really warming your skin tone. I love Rimmel's natural bronzer. This actually does not have any shimmer in it. It's a matte bronzer, and I just love the deep brown tone that it can give. It just makes my skin skin look really warm. Now, the difference between bronzing and contouring is meant to look like a shadow. And so what you're doing when you're highlighting and contouring is you're trying to highlight the parts of your face that you want to stand out, and you're contouring the things you want to go away. And so when we're contouring, we're wanting things to look like they naturally already are kind of sucked in. The reason I want to point this difference out is because you can't really contour with bronzer and you can't really bronze with contour. When we're talking about contour, we're talking about a shade that looks like a shadow. It doesn't have any warmth to it. In fact, it should have almost a gray kind of tone to it. You want it to be neutral. For that reason, my favorite drugstore of all time contouring powder is the Wet n Wild Contouring Palette. Now, this does have both a highlight and contour shade. But I will be honest with you, I never use the highlight. I think I've used it like 2 times, and it was generally as like a setting powder, simply because I like my highlight to have a little bit of shimmer to it. However, look at this contour shade. It looks very neutral. So let's look at these side by side. Do you see how the bronzer has a very golden kind of brown glow to it, and yet the contour shade, it looks gray and neutral? That's the big difference. So I go ahead and put some contouring where I want it or some bronzing where I want it, and then I usually put my blush on next. Now, blush is like my favorite drug on a face. I kind of almost always overdo it with blush. I love blush so much. And my all-time favorite blush is Wet n Wild, again, Pearlescent Pink Blush. And you can see I've hit pan. This was a break, but that is where I'm hitting pan. And this is such a beautiful peachy pink kind of color. It has a little bit of shimmer, but it's not like chunky glitter. It's very natural, kind of just makes you look a little bit luminous. I can guarantee you that this is probably just as good, if not better, than any high-end blush that you're gonna get. It's just smooth and amazing, and the color payoff is incredible. I just can't say enough about this blush. This is my all-time favorite blush. And it is only like $2.50. I mean, you cannot beat that. It's amazing. So if you're looking for a like pinky, beautiful, luminous blush, this is awesome. However, if you're really kind of scared of pinks, oh, and this is what I'm wearing right now. If you're really kind of scared of pinks and you're looking at for something more natural that just kind of gives a little bit of color to the cheeks, but that isn't gonna look crazy like red, pink, mauve, or anything like that, I really recommend going with the Milani Luminoso blush. This is what I call a cult favorite amongst YouTubers and makeup artists. Everybody just really loves this blush. It's very subtle. It doesn't look so blushy that you look really like a doll or like cheesy. Like you might look at my pink blush and be like, that's a little much for me. This comes off really, really natural, and it works on so many skin tones. The nice thing too about a baked blush like this is it has a lot of dimension, and so if you were to put that on above contouring or bronzing, you probably don't even need a highlighter. But that's the next thing that people generally do. So you do some contour, you do some blush, and then you usually highlight right above that. And lately one of the trends is strobing, which means lots of highlight everywhere and not so much contour. It's really up to you what you like and what you don't like. None of this is mandatory. If you only want blush, only go with blush. If you want none of it, you don't have to do it. But when it comes to highlight, one of the products that I have found that I really like is from Sally's Beauty Supply store. It's their Sally Girl cosmetic line. A lot of times it's just like on a little round kiosk next to the checkout, and they're usually pretty small products. I have, again, hit pan on this product. So this is just their highlighter in what is called Soft Lights. And what I love about it is it almost looks bronzy, like it almost looks too dark to be a highlighter. But then you kind of rub your finger in it, but it kind of gives off almost a pearlescent kind of sheen. It's definitely not glittery or chunky glitter. It's definitely not overwhelming, but it is really light, and it does really add just a little bit of like a pearlescent glow. I have it on the tip of my nose, on my Cupid's bow, and just right above my blush, kind of blending into the blush. Now, I would love to hear your guys' recommendations for drugstore or affordable highlighters because, again, it's not something I'm really super familiar with. When I do reach for highlighter, I either use this or a lot of times I use an eyeshadow that I think would translate as a highlighter well. Next up, last but certainly not least, especially in my heart, is lips. I could go for days on lips. I love lipstick. I love lip colors and lip liners and all the different finishes that you can get. The lips are kind of its own world. Right now, one of the really popular things is a matte lip. And in fact, probably the biggest trend right now for lips is a matte liquid lipstick. And so it goes on very much like a gloss would, but it's very pigmented, and when it dries, it looks matte. If you're going for something that's on trend like that, but you don't want to break the bank, there are two different suggestions I have for you. One of them is the ColourPop liquid lipsticks. I have like 8 of these on order and they're not here yet, but they are very, very affordable and probably your most affordable in terms of price versus product. You're still getting a lot of product. It still dries down like a lot of lipsticks do. And especially if you get it on sale, the price could not be better. But you cannot find this in stores. What you can find in stores in both like an Ulta and a Target are the NYX Soft Matte Lip Creams. I have 3 shades here, Zurich, Transylvania, and Monte Carlo. I love all of them. I am wearing Zurich on my lips right now. Most of the time, these retail around $6. However, almost every month, if you sign up for Ulta's mailing list, they send you like a $3.50 or $4 coupon. So you could get this for as low as $2. They also do buy one, get one free sales like every week. And so if you just go in and find out if NYX is the brand that is doing that, you can get 2 buy one, get one, so you're getting 2 for the price of 1. You also earn points at Ulta and Sephora and places like that. So if you ever are there and you want to kind of stick to something that's a little more on the drugstore price point, NYX is definitely the way to go. If you're not so concerned about the trends, or if you just want to know what some good lip products are, I have a couple recommendations. As far as lip liners go, by far my favorite performance, colors, price, everything is Jordana. This is where I think Jordana really shines. They have some incredible lip products. Not only are these like the best lip liners I've ever used, but you cannot go wrong for the price. I don't think I've ever paid more than $3 for one of these lip liners. And what's nice is you're getting a lot of lip liner. It's a retractable pencil, so you can roll it up, roll it back down, and you can wear these as a full lip color if you're really looking for something specific. I love using this red shade both to line my lips and as an all-over color. They dry down kind of matte, and it's so nice because when you're using them as a lip liner, they really do prevent any bleeding out from different colors. They come in a bunch of colors. I think there's probably like 12, if not more. Definitely take a look online. These are also available at Walgreens. I love these. I have been getting these lip liners and the retractable eyeliners from Jordana since middle school. If you're looking for a great affordable lip product and you really, really, really want something that is moisturizing or a little more on the shiny side, but that could also transition to matte, I suggest you visit the dollar store. What? The dollar store? Yes, the dollar store. Why? Because LA Colors has an amazing lipstick that's being sold there for $1 each. $1, people. I have 6 colors here. I don't know how many are in the line, to be honest, and I'm not even sure that this is their current line. I am madly in love with these lipsticks. First of all, they go on really nice and moisturizing, really nice and shiny, and they do not feel uncomfortable. They're so pigmented, way more than I would have expected for something that was only $1. Very pigmented, very moisturizing, but I've also blotted them on a tissue, and they can give you kind of a matte finish if you blot them, and they stay on for hours. I wouldn't say they're the longest lasting lipstick I've ever had, but for $1, they perform amazing. They outperform other lipsticks that I've bought for, 10 times this amount. The final thing is something that absolutely is not at all required or mandatory, but that lately I've been kind of getting into, and that is a finishing spray. The idea behind a finishing spray is that it kind of locks in the makeup that you just did. When I was in cheerleading, we used to take hairspray and spray our eyeshadow so that it would kind of lock it onto our eyes, and no matter how much we sweat or moved or rubbed or whatever, it was like on there for good. Now, I do not recommend putting hairspray anywhere near your eyes. It was a little bit crazy. But they have made so many products now that are meant to do a similar thing for your makeup. If you really don't want to break the bank, but you want to kind of see what this is all about, I recommend using the e.l.f. Makeup Mist and Set. This is only $3. It has aloe, green tea, cucumber, and vitamins A, C, and E. So if anything, this is at least giving your skin some life and nourishment. The last thing that you would do at the end of the day after your makeup would be to take it all off. And I do have products that I recommend that are affordable for removing makeup, and I will link that video down below rather than go through it here. I feel like this is going to be plenty long as it is. But I hope that answers some of your questions. Again, I will have all the links and prices listed down below, and if you need more details, feel free to visit brightsmilebeauty.com, where I will have a post up about all of these products, their prices, and my feelings and thoughts on why they're good for beginners. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave me a comment down below and I would love to hear from you. If you liked this video, give this video a thumbs up. I hope you guys are having an incredible day. Please have an incredible month, year, life. You guys are so amazing, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.